So I want to thank our reader for the great reading today, and Karen Drucker, the Chariot Duo, and Gary Lynn Floyd, as well as our CSL music team, for all the wonderful music that supports the message. And this month of June, when we're talking about wholeness and health, we have a message today, living on the spiral. Have you ever had one of those déjà vu moments with your own drama? Yes. Didn't I already visit this? Haven't I already completed this? That same pattern, that same conversation, that same temptation, that insecurity, that doubt. And you sometimes might wonder, am I moving backward? I thought I had moved forward from this. But what if it's not a step back? You heard the quote in the reading today. The path isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. You continually come back to things you thought you understood and see deeper truths. So, what if life isn't a straight line and it's more like a spiral, and you get a chance to look at those same lessons with a higher and deeper level of awareness? Think about that for a moment. And let me give you your question for the week. What is the one choice you might make today to remember life is a spiral, to grow through life's repeats, and to respond with new awareness to old patterns? One more time. What is the one choice you might make today to remember life is a spiral, to grow through life's repeats, and to respond with new awareness to old patterns? You know, there are plenty of examples of the spiral of life. In the Bible, the Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years, and it wasn't because they didn't have GPS. It was because they needed to be transformed. Right. Every circle in the wilderness taught them trust and taught them to surrender and how not to panic every time that manna might have looked a little bit stale. Paul wrote in Romans 12:2, be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now that's a spiral, not a one-time change. It's a constant renewal, returning to the same truth with fresh insight. That's important, with fresh insight. In A Course in Miracles, we read this: trials are but lessons that you failed to learn, presented once again. So where you made a faulty choice before, you now can make a better one, and thus escape all pain that what you chose before has brought to you. I find it comforting that even our mess ups loop back around so that we can not punish ourselves, and it gives us another shot at getting it right so we won't suffer this time. You know, Ernest Holmes wrote, the spiral of life is upward. Evolution carries us forward, not backward. Now that's reassuring. We're carried forward, not backwards. We have a chance to reconsider those bad decisions we made in the past. Living on the spiral is actually a great way to look at life. It means there are repeated chances to see life at a higher and higher awareness of truth. It is about expanding our consciousness one day at a time and seeing the same issues that we faced previously with new insight. Just for a moment, think of your life like a spiral staircase. You circle the same issues, love, fear, trust, purpose, but you revisit them from a higher floor. So now you can see what you couldn't see before. Katherine Economou put it beautifully. When you return to what you thought was healed, it's not failure, it's invitation to be more tender, more awake, more you than ever before. You don't outgrow the spiral, you grow through it. If you heard the message a few weeks ago on the Flawless Road, I talked about the spiral and I gave you this spiritual practice called spiral journaling. You draw a spiral on a piece of paper, and on the outer ring, you write a situation that you're facing, and then inwardly, you write similar moments from your past. And notice the pattern, not as repetition truly, but as refinement. In the center, we write, I return to myself again and again. When life seems to be déjà vu, remember you're a different person from whom you were the last time you visited that event. Our cells are always regenerating, so we're a different person than we were just a few moments ago. So every time we get to revisit something, we get to revisit it as a new person. So when we experience déjà vu moments, we're doing them differently and from a new awareness. Thank goodness. And when we experience those déjà vu moments, here's another spiritual practice you might want to try. Just notice your awareness. It's called the mirror question. When something old shows up again, just ask, who am I now in this? And let that answer be a portal into your newness. Let's quickly take a little bit of practice on the spiral of life. Think of a theme or an issue that you've noticed, you've revisited several times throughout your life. And as you look at it, just notice how or if you've changed each time you encounter that issue. And then notice what you notice about yourself. What if you decided to consciously live on the spiral of life and notice life's repeats? That would certainly increase your awareness of the spiral of life, don't you think? And here's another spiritual practice you might want to try. It's called the Spiral Review. And it's designed to help you notice those spirals and also your new level of awareness. Here's what you do. Each evening, reflect on these questions. What returned today? How did I respond differently this time? And what is Spirit showing me on this repeat? And hey, if we can think of our life as a spiral, we might take a mantra, something like this. I am returning wiser. I spiral into freedom. We return to the same situations, the same challenges, each time with more perspective and with a higher level of understanding. So it's important for us to be aware of those spirals. And just in case we aren't aware of the upward movement during those spirals of life, here's a spiritual practice you might control. It's called spiral breath practice. Trying this breathing practice truly does indeed have you become more aware of your upward movement in life to greater awareness. So here's what you do. Inhale as you visualize yourself moving upward in a spiral. And then exhale and ground yourself. Inhale, visualizing yourself moving upward in that spiral, and exhale, grounding yourself. Inhale, visualizing yourself moving upward in the spiral, and exhale and ground yourself. If you did that little exercise 3 times a day, it reminds your body that you're always rising. And practicing creates memory in your body for your upward movement. Now, that's encouraging because I know I want to move upward, don't you? By now, we probably know when old patterns keep showing up in life, and it's not a sign of failure. As Katherine Economou reminded us, it's an invitation for a new response, to be more tender and more awake and more us than we've ever been before. Yet, many of our old response patterns are ingrained in us, so we have to learn how to respond from a new awareness. So I have a few spiritual practices that you can try for that. First one is pause and acknowledge. Awareness interrupts automatic behavior and it creates space for transformation. So instead of rushing into judgment and action, simply pause. Treat the repeat like a visitor, not an enemy. Bring curiosity rather than criticism. And hey, you might even tell yourself, I know this pattern. Hello again. Another practice is spiral questioning. When the spiral of life brings you around to an old issue, you're not the same person that you were the last time you experienced it or the last time it showed up. So ask yourself these 3 questions. Who am I now in this? What have I learned since the last time? How can I respond from my current level of wisdom? A Course in Miracles tells us the test of everything on earth is simply this: what is it for? Ask what the pattern is for now, not what it was for then. Another spiritual practice for awareness is shift from reaction to response. Old patterns often trigger old reactions. Instead, take a breath and choose a conscious response. You might remember or even say to yourself, you do not have to go down that old same worn road. So take a new road, even if it starts with just one different word or one different thought. Here's a mantra or an affirmation. How is it I so easily rise above old stories? How is it I so gently and lovingly bring new light to old wounds? Another spiritual practice is use the repeat as a healing portal. Ernest Holmes wrote, every problem is a doorway to a higher realization. Wow, every problem is a doorway to a higher realization. So here's what we do with this repeat as a healing portal. Ask, what deeper healing is this calling forth? What part of me is ready to evolve? And try journaling using a question similar to this. What is this pattern asking me to feel, to release, or to forgive? Another spiritual practice is offer yourself compassion. I don't think we're very often compassionate enough with ourselves. Don't beat yourself up for revisiting something again and again. Just like the spiral, healing is layered. So be compassionate and just notice. Remind yourself, this again? Good. I get another chance to be gentle with myself. And Buddha taught us, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. So agree right now, when you notice the spiral of life, to give yourself love and affection, and therefore heal those repeating patterns. And another spiritual practice is break the loop with a blessing. Blessings transform resistance into acceptance and lift you higher on the spiral. So when the same situation appears again and again, bless it. And perhaps say, thank you, Spirit, for another opportunity to grow. Or, I bless this moment. I bless my part in it. I choose peace now. So remember, life does not go in straight lines. The soul spirals upward through layers of remembering and forgetting. And with every turn, we rise. With every step, we're held in the arms of the divine. And should you wish to accept that guidance, that still small voice will guide you. So may you walk the spiral of life with wonder, with courage, with joy, and know that each step you take along that spiral brings you closer to your soul's real, true purpose. So in summary, how might you learn to live on the spiral? Well, remind yourself frequently that life is a spiral. Accept the spiral as a way for upward movement and learn to make better choices when problems and issues reoccur. Grow through life's repeats. Know that they're not failures, they're invitations and opportunities. And ask, who am I now that I'm repeating this issue? Respond with a new awareness to old patterns. Remember that the test of everything is, what is this for? And not what is this for then, but what is it for now? Adopt some spiritual practices that help you learn to be more aware and bless each opportunity to love yourself and heal. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it I so willingly, energetically, and effortlessly remember life is a spiral, grow through life's repeats, and respond with new awareness to old patterns? And your challenge for the week is to make a choice to live life on the spiral and notice those spirals and invite new responses. Of course, I hope you commit to some spiritual practices that will enhance your awareness of that upward movement. And just love yourself and be gentle with yourself as those déjà vu moments happen. Let's pray. We just take a deep, nourishing breath. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And just remember that right where you are, God is, and all that God is, the love and the joy and the peace and the ease and the comfort is who you are as a child of the divine. So I'm knowing that each of us heard something today that is going to improve our recognition of those repeated patterns and also allow us to engage with them with more awareness. And I'm grateful for that time that you spent with us today, because as each of us heal those old hurts and old wounds, we are helping the world heal. So it's with great gratitude that I release this into that divine yes, knowing the truth that right where we are, God is. And all of this is already done. So I can say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. And thank you so much for all of you that are contributing to our community to help us continue to bring these services to you. I am so very grateful. Enjoy our offertory song.